brought me sprinkle cookies.
So what, no fucking TV now? Hey!
Maybe she's from Jersey. What's up, everyone? Happy Monday. Welcome back to another episode of Maybe She's from Jersey. We're your hosts, Jackie Neese.
And Alyx Curtis.
And today we're going to shout out our coffee. It's called Burro Bean. We got some breakfast sandwiches, some coffee. I got an oat milk cappuccino, a nice double shot. What'd you get?
What did I get? I got a iced coffee with a shot of vanilla and a little bit of almond milk. And I also got our guest the same thing.
Oh, yes.
So it's pretty
good.
easy.
Food-wise,
Food-wise,
I got a bacon, egg, and cheese on a cinnamon raisin bagel. That sounds insane, but I was serving a table one day and this man ordered that and I was like, ew. That sounds so fucking weird. And I didn't say anything, but then I was bringing it out and it smelt like heaven. You have to try it. Like if you like sweet and salty, that is a power move. Highly recommend. It was incredible.
I got a bacon, egg, and cheese on an egg everything bagel. If you don't know what an egg everything bagel is, you don't have a good bagel store. That's all I have to say. What'd you get, Carol?
Oh my God. I had a lox bagel and it was so good. I'm very picky with my lox, so it was amazing. It was just, the nice crispness and the lox was fresh. All you need.
We love it. It was a fat bagel.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
It was
it was
thick.
good. So kudos to you, Burro Bean. Way to go. We're proud of you. So our guest, this is Carol Inacio Zuccari. What I was saying earlier was like, I know, she's here to tell us her story. It's very interesting. I know her story, but like I'm excited because I've never had like a sit down with you about it.
All right,
So-
everybody, you're ready for a sit down with Carol.
Like how long have we known each other? Almost 7 years.
So funny story. I remember meeting Alyx in the backyard. Like it was like a backyard party.
Oh, yeah.
She was. Everybody knows she was a neighbor. And we were in the backyard having like a party with a family. I think I was married for 4 years or so. With Dan. So I remember her. She was coming, very sweet. I was like, okay, she's cool. And then after, I think that week or so, like you guys went on a date or something.
Probably.
So that's when I met Alyx.
I feel like I definitely like saw you in passing because like I said, I was neighbors with her, what are the mother and father-in-law, the in-laws. So I did see her a lot in passing, but I don't know. You being a married woman seems like way out of my
I'm a married woman, guys.
But like when you're 18 and you're like, oh, they're married. Even
I
though
know.
even though like you guys were like Dan was 24 when you got married, right? Or engaged?
Yeah, he was like 26.
Like we're 26. I'm just
Yeah.
like so it's funny like
Look,
It
now
is
that
like,
I'm
and
out.
when you are 18, like
Yeah.
your mind of like how it's to be a grown up is
Yeah.
just so like far fetched.
I'm still waiting for it. Yeah.
Right? I'm 35 and I still feel like I'm 17 and I just got pregnant and I just had a baby.
yeah, it's crazy. You're like, who let me do that?
Yeah. Like where's the parents of this person?
You're like, this isn't teen pregnancy?
Yeah, that's how I feel all the time. Like that funny TikTok thing that they say, look, oh my God, you were my responsibility.
Yeah.
And you look at the baby, but it's real. Like you still feel that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So when I initially met you, I really
you
did think that we weren't going to be friends because we have nothing in common. Like to me, I knew like, I'm like, that's a little out of my league. Like we're not going to be close. And I was just like, we're going to be friends. And she was like, okay.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one thing that I think it brought you guys together too, is because like you were very open to meet people wherever they are. Like you were not judgmental or just like, oh, this person don't align to like my kind of friends. I feel like you're just go with to learn from
I'm
it.
for
And I think,
sure judgmental. I'm really
well,
good at
you are
hiding it.
inside, but you're
really
not
good at
rude.
hiding it. Yeah.
Oh,
You're not that good at
Alyx.
hiding it. She just really likes you.
I hope so. And
Yeah.
one thing about is fun about Alyx is like in the first like years that I met her, I was so impressed with her determination to
Force Joe into dating me.
She's very like when she sets her mind to something,
Yes.
she will make it happen.
Oh, yeah.
And that,
Yeah.
but that was one of the things I liked most about her. Like I remember we had this one conversation, and I don't remember what it was. We were talking with all your friends, and you were like, you were saying something how you're very like, once you know you want that person in your life, you're like, you're in my life. And we were all sitting at the table for her birthday, and she was like, yeah, she's like, I don't look at that as a bad thing. Like, you should all be honored you're sitting here. I chose you.
She is like I feel like talking about you this way, you're like Joe from You.
Thank you.
Oh
right?
my God.
She just look at you like, I'm watching you.
Oh my
and
God.
I'll
Hey,
be
you.
with you.
Hey,
That is
you.
you very much know what you want. But I think that's one of the things I admire most about Alyx is she's very like, hey, this is what I want. Like, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, great. And I'm going to go. Like,
And I
that's
don't
just how
care
she
what
is.
you think about it.
Yeah.
So we kind of like pull the best from each other. And like I kind of recycle what I like from Alyx and I kind of like got for myself.
I can see that too. But I remember in the beginning, like, Carol's such a good wife. Look at her getting up, being a good daughter-in-law.
But you know what that whole thing did good? Like Joe and Daniel are really good sons for their parents. Like
They
as far
are.
as like I always compare. I feel like men in Brazil and here like American guys. At least like it feels like they're more like hands-on and stuff. They were supposed to be women,
Right.
More
modernized.
which is something that I'm like, oh, like sometimes I gotta put myself out of the idea that I don't need to do everything. I don't need to like always like have everything clean, organized because Dan is coming. Like that was the way I was raised. So I was expected to. My mom went back to work really early when I was born, so she was really young. She was 18. Nowadays they're just great. My mom and my dad are great, but it was hard for her to leave and don't work. So I was, doing all the stuff at home. And then I was like, 13. And then she got pregnant again.
Yeah.
And then I have like this huge gap with my sister where I became the mom too.
Yeah.
So I always had this caring, I'm caring for something. Sort of.
You're like programmed.
Yeah.
now.
That's how I was programmed. And I feel like that's what kind of made me stay this way of serving for so long. And now I'm kind of like, I don't need to do that all the time. Maybe I could just sit back sometimes.
So Carol is from Brazil, as she mentioned, and her story is really interesting, I think, and which is why I asked her to be here, because not only did she live in a different country, spoke a whole different language, but how she was raised versus who she is now is very different. Think about it, like her whole family was left in another country. She came here, I think, for school initially, right?
Yeah, it was actually
and
a program, like an au pair.
Right. So now it just like blossomed, and now you're here full time. You're officially an American citizen recently.
I made it. I got that green card, guys.
Hell yeah.
and it was in between that, like her coming here and now officially being a citizen, there's so much of a good story, and like their wedding and how they met and just like her life, and now she's a mom, and now she has her own business. Like everything kind of fell into place, and I'm sure in the moment you were like, what the fuck's going on?
It's always it's always a what the fuck, like my, it's like people notice, like I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but when you see things on social media, you always think like, oh my God, that feels like such a straight line. This person just, just, but in between you're crying, you're like, oh my God,
this is the worst.
This is the worst. It's not going to work. And things just move on. It's one step at a time. Because for us, like I always, every time that people say, how is moving to the US and blah, blah, like, Brazil is very influenced by American culture, and especially now with, after, 95 with the internet boom and everything, now social media, even more. So people always wanted to come to US because like, apparently, living here is better.
American dream.
The American dream is real.
Yeah.
And you are able to financially be more stable, and there's more opportunity. So that's the idea, and especially like music, everything comes from here. For you guys, like, do you ever had the dream of living somewhere else?
Yes.
And just like, and maybe, and I'm making the questions here, but like, why you didn't went for it?
So I would love for countries like Brazil and other countries in general, there are plenty of programs that almost like assist you in coming here. We weren't brought aware to those programs for us to go elsewhere. Everyone wants to come here. I think too, as part of being an American citizen, we are also programs. I mean, sometimes rightfully so, but we're programmed to think like this is where you should be. This is where you want to be. No, like America's never like you should go elsewhere. But other countries are like you should go to America. But like no one ever says, there's a program that you could live there and potentially get a green card or a visa there. And that's not a thing. No one talks about that here. Yeah. So I'm sure when you were growing up, it was like America was not like a new phenomenon to you.
Yeah. It was like the place to
go. So that's not this. That's not how it is here.
Because you saw on TV, like every show was based on an American show.
America loves America. So we watch American. So it's.
So you guys didn't have like stuff coming from Brazil, like, oh, this is a Brazilian show, or this is a Chinese show, or this is a Russian show that also, I want to be there.
Most of Americans are just like, they don't speak more than one language unless their family does. Like I don't like. Obviously, we have classes in high school and middle school and elementary school, but I'm sure most of us can agree that we didn't take much from that. Yeah. So English was it. So that limited us on some aspect. And like I said, no one in elementary school, in middle school, in high school was like, did you know like there's a program where you could go to Spain and live there for even study abroad was like difficult to get. Yeah. It's just not widely talked about.
I think my thing is I think the grass always looks greener on the other side. So you're like, what is better over there? And there's always going to be pros and cons of everything. But the thing that sticks out to me is, one, I've never left the country. So I'm speaking from a lot of ignorance and a lot of curiosity, and also a lot of background stories of my father. So we have the thing, work to live to work. You know what I mean? And what do you identify most with? Me, I think I was like 6 years old and my dad was like, why haven't you started a business? And I'm like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like I have it drilled in me to like run businesses and create, and there's so much opportunity here for that. And my work ethic is like part of my identity. Like I don't even think I would know who I was without my work ethic. But my dad always said like he moved over here and my dad was running businesses by the time he was 16 because you could like lie about your age and you didn't have to put fingerprints down, nothing. So he like owned a whole block of Hoboken by the time he was like 20 years old or whatever. And, something happened and then it went down quickly. And then he went back to Italy to like kind of find himself, but without like saying that wasn't really like a thing back then. It
was like his rehab.
Kind of, but he was like, I'm just going to go to Italy. I'm going to stay with my family. Like, I'm just going to like go and whatever.
Regroup.
And he remembers, he always told me this story that they had dinner and then his family was like, let's go for a walk. And he was like, okay, where are we going? And he was like, they were like, we're just going to go for a walk. And he's like, okay, well, like, are we going to grab ice cream? Like, are we going to like go watch some music? Like, what are we going to, and they're like, we're going for a walk. And he's like, okay, so, but like, are we going to like, what are we going to do? And they're like, we're going for a walk. And he said it took him like 2 weeks to really remember that, like, to like live in the moment and just enjoy the walk. Go for a walk to go for a walk and be present. And like he said, like the lifestyle there is just so much healthier. Everyone's mentally like happy and giving to each other. Like you meet foreign people and they are the kindest hearts you will ever meet. They just want to give,
especially
and like
small communities.
Yeah, and that's where I think I have a lot of curiosity in my head of what life is like there, because I think I'm very much craving like good heart and love and water and
sincerity.
And like beautiful, like tasting food and just like the simple things of existing, because I grew up in this like work to live, blah 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 blah, like literally just like be in this constant like, I mean, what goes through my mind, like I wake up at 3:00 in the morning and I have like business ideas in my head. Like I don't think that's normal, you know what I mean? Like I think I'm looking for like the happy balance in that. So I don't know,
there's pros and cons to
yes, there's pros and cons.
And I feel you now, like I've been in this country for over 12 years now, so I came from a place where, I'm going to take a break. Like we have an hour lunch in Brazil that we go home and we cook and we eat and we take a nap. Like now I don't take 15 minutes in front of my computer to like, I'm working all the time. And then I got to pull myself all the time. And Dan helps me a lot with that of like, hey, it doesn't matter. Like, like your work is important, but your life is more important. Your anxiety is taking over. Like you got to stop. Yeah. But I feel like that gets, put in your mind because you're here. You see everyone doing and you want to achieve stuff. So you're like, oh, that's what I need to do. I need to work and just like to make things happen, because that's the country. And maybe that's why it works. That's why everybody wants to come here, because things work, even though some people say it's not working.
Yeah. And then your mental health goes
it goes down. Like there's so many people with anxiety now.
I think where you started and where you let's get into that.
Actually. Yeah, let's start from like point A.
When were you born?
Oh my God.
What's your zodiac sign?
Yeah, I'm Aries. So I'm very proud
I love
of it.
Aries.
Yeah. It was a city that you knew everybody. It's the kind of city, like especially in the countryside, that you know who are the farmers with money, who is the people who, who are the people who are like the pop stars of the city.
Sounds like a good reality TV show.
Yeah, it is, because like you have like the specific like personas of the city. Nowadays it's much bigger, so I don't think it's so like limited in that way. But at the time was, and I was like from a church, got really into it. And
church girl.
I had little groups that girls would come and would read the Bible, and it was great because like I think that as I mentioned, like being a young mom to my sister, that kind of gave me that sense of like it's not just about me. Like there's so much more people that we can hang out and learn from each other. I'm all about learning. Like if you like, that's why I think I like you so much, because you have things that I feel like I don't have, and I can learn from you.
That's crazy.
And I feel like you have that with everyone you meet.
Yeah,
like
100%.
everyone is like this window that you can just like go in.
It's a good way
and
to
learn
look at
something. So in church was good. It was kind of like the
your
community. But it was also very limiting. My parents were very strict too, so I had to be at home like 10 p.m. So it was very like restricted life. But I think looking back, I'm like, wow, like I didn't really have a teenagerhood as I see here, like, kids just like partying and doing stuff. Like everything for me was very limited. I went to church, I came back, but I had to be home at a certain time. So, like.
You never had a boyfriend?
No, never. It was like I was always a very shy kid. So like so I had all these big dreams and like always been like this creative person, but very like, within my little box. So when I saw the idea of like, and I love boy bands. Oh my God.
Don't we all?
Yeah. And my dream was to marry Nick Carter.
Oh my
I know.
God.
Like it was a thing for me. So I met Dan.
Speak closer.
And I met Dan. And he's the closest I got.
A nice Italian.
Yeah. So as being so in a culture that is so influenced by the U.S., like seeing that on TV, Spice Girls, Backstreet Boys, like I started like, I'm so interested in learning more about the language and learning like
So you didn't speak English?
No, but in Brazil you kind of like since like preschool you have English.
Okay.
So you like learning like the basics, and then that's until high school. That's one of the disciplines that you have to learn. And I was like, oh, hey, there's a program where I can.
How'd you find out about the program?
How did I? There was no internet. I mean, there was.
Yeah,
I'm not that old, but I think there was an agency in my city. So normally it was like a from agency. So it's an English school that is connected to an agency, and they say, hey, you can do a trip, and this is almost like a exchanging program. So you go to a country, you live with a family, and you take care of the babies. It's called au pair. It's very I think it's very common nowadays.
Yeah, yeah.
Some people are not very happy about it because nowadays the pay, they say, is really low. But at the time, it was great for me. I feel like
you were offered basically a paid position to live with a family to experience America.
Yeah. So, cool. And I was very lucky with the family.
And your parents were cool with that?
They were. That's one thing. They were very strict, but at the same time, they were very open to my dreams. Like
that's great.
Yeah, everything that I, say, like I remember until today, and I'm not gonna get emotional, but I always get emotional about this. But like my dad, he almost saw his dream on me.
You want your kids to succeed more than you did.
So, I was able to kind of like learn more about it. And at the time I was working.
Right.
So I was working in this it was like embroidery design. So it was like my first like big job. Sometimes we didn't get paid for like 2 months. It was funny. They did like a little bingo to see who would get paid in the company. It was like a very small company, like a shoe.
What the hell goes on there?
Like I'm not gonna say the name.
Oh my goodness!
But some days like the payment was like late, and it was such a fun time of my life. I met so many great people, but I got laid off there, and I got paid. So I got almost like 2,000 reais. And what did I do with that money?
What's 2,000 reais in American dollars?
There's nothing.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah, because like the real now is like, so it's 5 to 1.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But at the time wasn't. It was less. I think it was 2 to 1 or something. Yeah,
Okay.
inflation went up. It's awful.
So
But-
so you got 2,000 of your
money
currency.
Yeah. So I was rich. So what did I do? I invested in the program.
Wow.
So I was like,
that's a really mature move.
Yeah, because I knew what I wanted, and I feel like this is my opportunity. Because at the time was just everything is just so hard when you're, when you're little, and you're like, my parents never had like money, so like we were very simple.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I always had this mindset, like I don't need to spend with stupid stuff, like that I don't like. I don't know, I feel like you guys are like that too. So. Alyx,
I was gonna say I don't know about me.
But yeah, so that's what I use for.
I think
pay for the
you were in
program.
high school.
I was working already.
Gotcha.
So how old were you when you moved to
Yeah.
America?
21.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you didn't know the language besides like what you were taught in classes.
Yeah, it was like a very static
Basic.
English. It's not conversational. And by the way, I'm gonna make a plug here to my sister, 2 Cents Instagram. She actually teaches English the way that it should be.
So
here.
her sister Victoria is 12 years younger than you, 13 years younger than you.
12, yeah.
12 years younger than you. And first of all, they're identical. It's weird. So you do look like her mom if you got pregnant at 12, but like you do look like her. Like it's insane. You look more like her than your mom does. Like
That's
it's
true. It is
weird.
true. Yeah,
I'll show
we
you a
look
photo. We'll freaking post her whole Instagram here. But
Right
she
here.
basically has been trying to have some sort of like social media pull by teaching English. So she in college or she graduated?
Oh, she graduated. She's on her master's already. Like her and her boyfriend have like this really cool account that teaches English how it's supposed to be. Like English in Brazil, like at least like the chain schools, teach you very basic stuff, sentences that are not very conversational.
Right.
So like what they try to do is just like tell you that you don't need to worry about your accent. Like there's a lot of like shame on showing your accent.
Well, her sister like prides herself on like making people feel comfortable speaking the language.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. And she'll post like vlogs and different type of learning lessons like on it. And I think she has a program where you could sign up.
Oh yeah. She teaches like individual classes, and she also have like a big classes. Victoria, you owe me one.
She's also the nicest person ever.
She
so
is.
you really
So
should
sweet.
support her.
I tell her she's my better version.
Well, how was it just moving here and not feeling comfortable
so you're
in
21.
language?
You
Yeah,
get
like, that
here.
sounds so scary to me.
What happens? Did you
Yeah,
pack everything? How long was your trip supposed to be?
So the idea was like 2 years max. So you come with the idea like, hey, this is a 2-year program.
So you say bye to your family. You're like, love you.
Yeah,
bye.
but you could visit. I could, take a trip back. I think I did on the first year. But like after a period of time, it's kind of hard to come back because there's like a lot of like rules, and sometimes they deny your visa, to come back. So it's like very complicated. I don't know if that changed, but I was here. So the first city I went was like Vernon, New Jersey. I always wanted to be a fashion designer.
Ooh.
Work in fashion.
Leo.
And where is the city that I can find a family that is closest to New York? Vernon, in my mind, on Google Maps, looked really close.
Okay.
But it wasn't. It was literally like there was not direct train. So I would have to take a bus, then go to
Secaucus.
Yeah. And then transfer there, and then take another. It was such a long trip, so that kind of failed. And it was like the house, because one thing about the au pair program, you are having a reality that is not the American reality, because you're going with rich families.
So these are all wealthy people.
Yeah.
Do you interview with them? Did you pick them?
Yeah, you do have like phone interviews, which are nerve-wracking because, oh my God, I don't know how to speak English, and they're going to ask me stuff. So you have like your write down, you're shaking. And then you kind of like, I hear the kids, and you tell a little bit about, what do you like and why would you be a good au pair. It's pretty much a job interview.
An interview, yeah.
They want to make sure that you
Aren't a psychopath.
Right. You're living with them, and you are taking care of their kids, and it's just like so much responsibility. And also like nowadays thinking as a mother, like sometimes like families like probably picked on me and I didn't even know English 100%. Like, you know, like
you're like,
you guys
that was
take some
risky.
Chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's awesome. And that's, I think what I love about this country, that you guys like are not as hard on people as far as like, you know, like you were trying to learn, like, hi, I'm here, like at least the families I talk with.
Yeah.
So
that's great. So you liked this family, they liked you. They said, let's do it. You were like, okay.
Pack
Like, what were the
bags.
kids like? What was the family like?
Oh yeah, they were good. It was like,
is this the famous person or no?
No.
Okay.
No. This is he was a teacher at a university. He would come home like once a week. It was like the setup.
Okay.
And she worked at, you know, as a buyer for this fashion company. And, you know, she had 2 kids, 6 months and a 2-year-old.
Oh, wow.
And there was a big house. And I had my own room with my own bathroom.
Ooh, it was probably nice.
It was so nice. I never had that in my life, you know? Like, so the M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah. I actually went there. They need someone to kind of like help with the kids and clean. Like, you do everything.
Yeah.
So I remember with the second family, because the first family didn't work, was just so far away. And I was... I had to work like longer hours. So I just like rather... not, you know, look for a family that kind of matched more what I was looking for.
Gotcha.
So then you got a rematch. The rematch is very tense because you don't know if you're going to find another family or you're going to go back home. So it's kind of like a game.
Oh my God, that's scary.
Yeah. So you got to interview again, but apparently their au pair didn't work at the time, so they need someone to replace. So you're pretty replaceable. So then I went to that family, which was in Philadelphia. Also Jewish family. I feel like I learned so much from them. I feel like very successful. She was a doctor. He was a lawyer. And it was like a 13-year-old. So it was a lot of like you know, taking him places and just like making sure that.
Did you have a license?
I did. I did get a license.
You had to get
in Brazil.
when you got there.
So I got like, so you get a PID they call it there, which your permission to drive in another country. But after a month, you gotta take a license here, and it was kind of like easy, like, you know, all those experience. You're learning how to drive in another country, and I finally got the license because so normally when you come take care of a baby, you have more training. So you spend like a whole week training as an au pair just to make sure that you adapt and you learn how.
Is there like a center you train at?
Yeah, you actually. So when you come in, you go to a hotel and they have like a training, like a Sheraton or something, and you stay there for like a week.
Did you come with other women?
Oh yeah, like it's a big group. So it's like
that's cool.
It's
It's like a program.
Yeah, it's a program. There's a whole class that comes like, so comes girls from all over Brazil that they're in the same agency that has like different branches. So you get here, you get your training, then you off to go to the family. Second family was my boy was 13. He was 10 at the time, and I stayed with him for 4 years.
Wow.
And that because he had like some gaps on his schedule, I would do extras, right? Like I always had that mindset of work and making connections and seeing make money. And just like, make the most of your time. You know, I was never like, just gonna sit here and watch TV because like time is money.
I have a question for you. What was something in your first like year or two that was kind of culture shock in the sense that you were like, oh shit, like I am in a different country with different kinds of people? Because I feel like, I mean, generally speaking, for Jersey people, we're very blunt and forward. And I feel like I've never been to Brazil. Yeah, but culture. I can't imagine that the people there are probably nice. So were there any moments of culture shock of just like society and like reading social cues and things like that you experienced?
And you're still learning English too.
Yeah. I feel like one thing I noticed that was very different from me, coming from a mixed family, like my dad is black, my mom is white. Here I feel like the segregation of like, black people only kind of hang out with black people. White people kind of like have their own, like that. there is not such a thing in Brazil. Like, you notice that it's not as mixed as I was used at home. Like, you would go to like a club or a restaurant, there was like people like looking all different, and you know, here it's like a more like, oh, you go to this place, you know what you expect, and this. So that was the biggest difference. Another thing for me was how men, and like at least the families that I work for, they were more helpful at home.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, she's gonna work, he's gonna, you know, do the dishes.
And I'm assuming they were all nice to you.
Oh yeah, they were very nice to me. Yeah, very nice.
Because I'm sure a lot of the things that you were doing socially was a learning curve.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So like, you know, certain words or
Yeah.
even just like mannerisms or, you know.
Yeah, it's funny because like one of these families, like they are very, you know, very wealthy, and they give you a car to drive, right? So I was driving this car that was old, so they kind of like changed to a new car, and I was the first one to drive.
Wow.
I got into an accident that same week they got the new car. I didn't know what to do. I remember I was in King of Prussia, like because like, you know, when you're not working, you just
even when it's your car and you get in an accident, you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Fucking old parents, you know, got into a car
gosh.
accident. So it was just awful.
Were they mad?
They were mad, but they were not mad as I used to mad. You know, like I was, you know, like not to, you know, say bad things about my upbringing, but like, you know, my dad was kind of like a very rigid and would just like explode very often. But this was more like, I'm really mad at you. But okay, let's see with insurance how much it's gonna cost, you know. And I had to pay, by the way, as an au pair, like you know,
you're responsible.
Yes, you're responsible. So it was fair. So it was my mistake, and I, you know.
So like, did you feel like a child going to their parents, like, I crashed the car, Mom? Like,
yes, totally, yeah. And another thing was good because like I had a credit card, so they made a credit card for me, so I could use with the kid, and I think that helped my credit too.
Yeah, it did. You need credit to get credit.
Yeah. So it was amazing.
In the long run, this gate that you walked through was like a huge opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, you gotta make an opportunity because like nowadays I see I'm still in communities where because I love helping people that are like they have the dream but sometimes they're not confident about it. Like I want to be the one that tell them you can do it.
Right.
So I'm still inserted. And sometimes it's sad because I feel like some people with the minor inconvenience, they say, I don't need this. Or I'm not going to subject myself to certain things. Sometimes it's like small stuff. Like you can help a little bit here and there. And sometimes you're not going to get what you're expecting. But in the long run, that's going to help you. So you got to think
long-term,
bigger picture. If you're always thinking about the little task that you did extra and nobody noticed, you're going to be stuck in life because life will never give you what you want at the time.
No one's patting you on the back 24/7.
Yeah. So sometimes you're going to have to, you know, like we say, swallow some frogs because it's just not easy.
Is that a Brazil thing?
Yeah. Like you know.
Swallow the frogs.
Yeah. Is it swallow the frog?
I heard kiss some frogs.
Talking about opportunities, I remember. So at the time I was making $195 a week. And they actually, like, my family round up to $200.
Ooh.
I got $5 extra. So with that, I was like, you know.
Wait a second. These wealthy motherfuckers are giving you $200 a week?
Well, that's what I'm telling you. Like, nowadays, people feel like in a different way about the pay because, like, if you think
a lot's more expensive now.
Yeah. You can't really live off $200 a week.
But you still get paid that nowadays. Yeah. I think in Massachusetts, you get paid a little bit more. But as an au pair, that's still the range.
So when you lived with them, you got the $200. You didn't have to pay rent.
No phone or car. So it's pretty convenient. Like, this is
still, you have
money.
$200.
I know, it's $200. At the time, it was like so much money to me.
I know, yeah.
$800 a month.
Yeah. And so what I did, like, I really wanted the fashion thing. So what I did, I went to Craigslist and I found internships, unpaid internships in New York. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to invest money to just be around people. Right. And I think that's something that, like Jack and I were talking in the beginning, that you got to put yourself in situations for things to happen. If you'd be sitting just waiting and just like, oh, but I did that. No, you didn't. You got to be out there.
Yeah.
And she was telling me about like being places where you can grow your network. So that was kind of like what I tried to do, going to New York and just meeting people. So I actually like worked for a few weeks for this brand called like Friends and Benefits. They're still on. I don't know what's they about to, but they, you know, it was like a fashion design. They did like clothing and stuff. So I did that for a few weeks. I would take the bus in Penn Station and just go. It was great because I love New York. So it was like a fun thing to do.
What were your hours like with the au pair then that you were able to do an internship?
I did like Saturdays. So
the internship was Saturdays.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I tried to again like Craigslist. Who uses Craigslist?
Serial killers.
Yeah. Right. So it was just like a thing that I wanted to do to just be closer to my dream. And it was fun because I felt like, oh, I'm in New York and I'm learning something and I'm meeting all these people. So and then I had some people, because in the au pair community, there's a lot of like friends that come from other cities and you connect with one person. This person lives in New York and this person lives in like a Maryland. So you kind of like make this network. So you're visiting your friends often. Right. So and then you're meeting all these people and then you go into the places that they go. Like I remember going to New York into clubs and I feel like I learned how to be a young person
in
here.
New York.
And going to clubs in New York with promoters, which was like really fun.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. We always sat at the table and laughed. Yeah. It was pretty real.
Yeah. I love that.
We've all done it.
And I feel like it's such a good memory of my life of, you know, although it's like
Grey Goose.
I love the way you talk about it, though. It sounds so like glorifying, and it's funny because like growing up, like New York City felt like my backyard. So sometimes I feel very overwhelmed by New York, but hearing your idea of it is so refreshing, and no, it really warmed my heart because that's true. My sister loved that stuff, and I was probably like 18 or 19, and she was like getting me in with her promoters, and a lot of them would bend my license. I never knew if I was going to get in or not. So sometimes I just experienced it with a lot of anxiety because I was like, you guys are going to get in, and then what? I'm going to fuck over your night because I was underage.
That was always an issue.
Yeah,
like your friends sometimes would not get in, and you would like, am I going in? But my friend is outside.
Yeah, my sister was big on that. Like she loved that stuff. I'd go with her sometimes, and it's always a fun time. It's always
we've all walked around half naked in heels in 20-degree weather in New York City.
I mean, I do that in Hoboken now, but I feel more comfortable because I live there. So I'm like, I'll just walk home. You know,
it's my place.
Yeah.
But anyway, continue with your career. So what happened after all of this?
Oh yeah.
So how'd you get it? What do you do now? How'd you get there?
Oh, yeah.
How'd you transition out of an au pair?
Oh yeah. So as an au pair, like you can stay 2 years. What I did, I actually transferred my visa to a student visa. So I started going to a community college where I got my associate's degree. And then after that, I applied to college, Temple University, for an advertising degree. So like that transition was just really big because I was like, oh my God, look, I came, all the way from Brazil. I learned the language and now I'm able to enter college and
awesome.
Just like learn something.
Exciting.
It was like real big to me, and it was like
I feel like college now is turning into a luxury because of how expensive it is, and the average person is not going to be going to college anymore. Right. So like the fact that you got in before it became basically a financial deficit,
rigged.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it was still expensive. I know you were paying off loans recently, but it's just crazy how like moving forward, college will not be as pushed as it is, as
and
it
hopefully
was.
Because sometimes like some people are not meant to college, and like we should normalize that. I feel like companies like Google don't really, if you're like a software developer, you don't even need a college degree, and I feel like it's gonna become more popular as people understand that they need more like a
experience versus like a degree, a paper
for sure.
So
but you liked Temple.
I did. I did enjoy my time there. Sometimes I miss it. I love the learning environment. Sometimes I'm like, can I go in just watch classes like without paying and just because I love that kind of thing. I feel like I still want to do something in the sense of education in a way of like helping people see the things that they do really well and just plugging them with the right people. I have like this connection thing in me that I love making connections of people who are alike. I love making friends of friends.
That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, and we were talking about the money, like how much we made as an au pair. I was able to pay my community college I paid off my community college with the au pair money.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, and I actually like saved enough money to bring my family to visit in my second year as an au pair, which is like little accomplishments to me that were like, you know, like I have a purpose for certain things, and sometimes like as I'm recalling these things, I'm like, oh wow, I did some stuff. But normally I'm just like, oh my god, I'm a failure and stuff. So there's always like this fight with the imposter syndrome. I feel like it's common.
What was the Carol? Not the au pair school Carol. Who was Carol back then?
On the weekends.
On the weekends. Oh my god, I love.
Like you met a guy, or did you have a new friend group? Did you think about ever having kids, getting?
No, I never had the idea. Like I always wanted to find someone like that I loved and like, you know, that I envisioned in my mind, but I never had the idea of like getting married or having a baby, or I never wanted to be a mother. Like I feel like that was like the big one for me. But I was very excited to experiences and meeting people. So, you know, as like a weekends would come, and I would love to go to bars and to clubs because I never drink back home. So I wasn't a big drinker. I would have one drink a month. So here on the weekends, my friends, let's come to New York, or let's go to, you know, somewhere in Philly. So it was always fun because there was always that novelty. I feel like that's what I love about like meeting new girls coming from Brazil or any other countries, that the refreshing, as you heard about like me talking about New York, I feel the same way when I see people just arrive in this country.
You're excited for them.
I'm so excited. I'm just like, oh, you should see this. You're going to love this. And I'm like thinking about things that will wow them.
That's awesome.
Because it's just like you kind of lose with time. And it's a natural thing. But I met. So then I had a first boyfriend that we dated long distance for a long time. But it didn't end up very well. It was just very, you know, hard relationship.
That was your first relationship?
Was my first relationship. So after this relationship, I kind of was very heartbroken, and I felt very loved in my past relationship. So for me, it was like, I'll never find someone that loves me this much. I will never find a relationship where I feel so comfortable. When I thought about, you know, being in a new relationship, I had all these guards up because I was just so afraid of, you know, like how it would end it. So anything like, so I became like, I have a lot of triggers in my life. So like, you know, even in relationship right now, like I always got to watch myself that I'm not picking up on them. But then I met Dan. Where did we meet? Plenty of Fish.
Plenty of Fish. Do you remember that? There was like commercials about that. Plentyoffish.com.
It was way before Tinder.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
So you're just scrolling, you see this little Italian boy.
He messaged me. And I remember I was with my friend Tanya. We were like in the house that she worked as a nanny at the time. And I showed her, like, I don't know, like he was cute. And I was like, he feels fake. And then I was like, I don't know. Maybe he's like, you just know certain guys. Like, and normally if you say that you're a Brazilian, it comes with like a lot of stereotypes. So you're like, you always go in kind of like all right, what I'm gonna find in here. And he was actually a nice guy, and then she was like, oh yeah, you should talk to him. And then we started talking, and then it was the time where I needed to,
this is where it gets fun.
Oh yeah, I need to decide where I was, you know, am I going back to Brazil? I'm gonna try to find a job here, because like after college I was actually applying to Temple at the time, so it was like 15. So we were like kind of deciding, because like my visa was gonna expire at the time and I need to apply again. So it was like there was a lot to happen at that time, and there was like a risk that I couldn't extend it because I would need to go to Brazil to extend,
and then you could get stuck.
Yeah. So
Dan was like, not on my watch. She was like, either you marry me or I leave the country. Literally.
I wish it was. No,
I
but
flee.
it was actually like the course of things. Like,
so basically, you had you were like in a time crunch. Either you were gonna head back to Brazil to figure out how you were gonna get back to America, or Dan was gonna put a ring on your finger.
Yes. Yeah.
And Dan, good
he
job.
Was so scared. I feel like we talked about it, and he just reminded me of how scared he was. And I give so much credit to his family because.
Tell us how you met them. Like that. Yeah. To them, they were probably like, Dan, what the fuck?
Yeah, like especially being such a close family, it's just like. Be suspicious. They're very like
and he had a long-term relationship.
Oh yeah,
before you.
Yeah, he dated I think like for over 7 years or something.
So to them, they were like, "You met this girl, you fell in love, you're marrying her." Whoa, whoa, whoa.
yeah. And we dated for less than a year and a half.
Yeah. Wow. That alone like is a lot of courage because I'm sure none of his friends were at that point in their life.
And I feel like some friends were like. Are you sure? Like, don't you think
not
she's
super
just
supportive?
Like, she's just trying to get the green card.
Yeah, bitch. Yeah, she was trying to get a green card.
Right? Like, if you find someone that you love and is everything you want, like, it's the natural course of things. Yeah. A celebration. But his parents were always like very gracious to celebrate the moment, which I give a lot of props to them. Like, if someone just comes to your life, and I guess they saw something in me that was like a genuine, so they felt the truth that I had. And so it wasn't like a question. Like, all right, he found the person he wanted.
To them, they are very much like, even though they're very traditional, and I'm sure at first they were like, okay. But I think the way that Dan described it to me was he was telling them this was happening. So either you're on board or this is going to cause a rift in our relationship. And I remember Kathleen kind of describing it like we didn't not like her. It was just like, okay, all right, this is happening. Let's go. All right, so where are we going? What time is this going to be? Like, it was one of those things where they were never not on board, but it was like a shock because I'm sure you guys you weren't like, hey, I'm Carol and my visa's expiring. And
no, normally, it doesn't go like that. But it was interesting. I always felt very loved by his family. His mom, we always talk about the time because I always like, how did you feel about it? Like I love questioning, and she was like, we knew it. Like we never saw him in a way with a girl like he was with you, and I felt flattered about it. Like, okay, like that makes me feel more comfortable because I know how close you guys are, and the worst thing would be entering a family with the wrong foot. So it was very refreshing for me knowing that I was loved and, I was able to give love to them because that was very reciprocal. And we actually had a wedding. It was very nice. We kind of brought all our friends. I had my family, my mom and my dad and my sister coming over. We celebrated. It was so nice. My dad just made a lot of friends dancing.
They didn't speak English, so her and her sister had to translate everything. Anytime someone was talking, this is what my mom told me, but my mom, I remember being like, poor Carol and Victoria, because it's her wedding day, and Victoria's obviously the maid of honor and also helping her parents. So and Kathleen always jokes too. She's like, I felt bad because I had to grab Carol and Victoria to speak to parents, the new in-laws. It's funny. They were working almost. It was like, yeah, it's my day. So this is what they said. This is what they said.
It was fun because at the time you just want to connect that bridge, right? The connection is there. It just has a gap that if you can, be that bridge in between, it's fine. It's okay that I'm so tired at the end of the day, but you're bridging that gap of the language.
It's fun.
It's so fun. Yeah. And now that my dad is actually studying English now. It's so cute. He goes to class every week.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he does his homework.
Sometimes
love that. He uses Google.
Nice.
Dad, I know you use Google. Google Translate. But it was great.
So from that point on, I imagine at least from what I saw, this is years into your marriage, but they backed you 100%. So if you were like, I'm going to school, I'm doing this, they were like, okay.
Yeah. That was in college, there was a program to work in New York during my Temple days. So you would live 3 months in New York in a Pace University dorm. And they're like, oh yeah, if that's your dream, just go for it. And that would never happen in Brazil. Unless you were in a relationship that is very open, your husband let you live in a different city, like a city like New York.
So you were like, wow, okay.
Yeah, oh, okay, this is awesome. I married the right person.
Yeah.
So I lived in New York for 3 months. I work in an integrated marketing company. and then would come visit me every weekend.
Aww.
So sometimes we tried to sneak him at Pace University's dorms, but they were very strict.
Yeah.
So we would just
even though you were married.
Yeah. No, they don't let anybody come in.
That's ridiculous.
Especially because it's a small program through a university outside Pace.
But still, like, I'm married.
Did you have a moment where you were like, I could have kids with this man? Because I know you mentioned before you never had the idea of like the mother or, you know, having kids and things like that. Did Dan change that for you, or was it like...
He sure did.
He did. At some point, I was like... I tell his mom all the time that, like, I loved him so much. That's so cheesy. But I didn't see me loving anything else. Mm-hmm. And then when you have a baby, it's just like you love your husband more because you see how he's as a dad.
Mm-hmm. Mm. This is a good conversation too. Like, you're just trying to establish yourself, and it took longer for you than it does someone who was born here. Yeah. A lot of opportunity is laid out for them from the get-go. Yeah. Like I said, like, we're all taught to go to college and to do it a certain way and in order and whatever. You kind of were just independent about it, which I sincerely don't know if you realize, like, how brave that is. Yeah. Like, I would never be able to do that. Oh my God,
that's horrifying.
You're saying you're shy, like, you were shy back then. Like, shy, when I think of shy, I'm not thinking gonna leave the country and live there for 2 years with a family I've never met, get a license, speak a different language, take care of tiny humans, and then try and build a career and find a man. Like, holy shit.
You were like shambitious. Yeah. Shy and ambitious.
I like that.
You know, like, you had that in you. Like, you knew what you wanted, and you knew there were things inside of you that you were like constantly wanting to evolve, but at the same time you were also like scared.
Did you create that shambitious?
I just kind of...
You should trademark that. like that's hot.
I was just thinking I was thinking shy and then ambitious, and it like... That's just me having ADD in my mind, making up words at the same time.
I love it.
I was going to say it out loud, and then I was like, that's not a word. And I was like, actually, I'm going to say it.
Yeah, I'm shambitious, guys.
Shambitious.
But it's, it was, you know, like, I feel like it was more the shyness of being young and how the world perceives you.
Yeah.
And you carry that a long time, like, oh my God, do I sound dumb? And it takes a while, and I feel like Alyx never had that problem. I feel like she's always like, this is how it is, like it or not, I'm Alyx. And with me, it took me a long time to feel comfortable on my own skin. When I go back home, like, how I react to things. And I'm still in the process, but like in that, you know, living with Dan and with, you know, close to his family, I'm learning more about, like, hey, you can disagree, but that doesn't mean you guys are not going to be talking for a day. It's just going to be a disagreement, and next thing you're laughing together again. Yeah. Off college, I had already an internship in this company, which I stayed for 5 years and kind of progressed there as a within the marketing team as a designer. And then for me, it was like, what's my next step? Like, how do I go? You know, so I was always into getting promoted.
Your career.
And just like so for me, a baby would be just like, oh my God, that's going to stagnate me. Yeah. I'm not going to, you know, complete anything. It's going to be so hard and blah, blah, blah. But it got to a point where I'm like, you know, the fear of not having and what's going to be was bigger than...
Like the what if.
Yeah, the what if. So then we decided to have a baby. And we're just so blessed I was able to, you know, conceive.
You were very scared to get pregnant. And I admired that so much about you. Women, I think... I mean, so we're in an age where people are either single and living their best life or married and having kids.
Yeah.
So it's like, which side, left or right, do I sway to? Yeah. So, like, we're in that awkward category, but it's crazy to me to think about having a child. But I know so many people our age that have children. I know so many people that your age that have children. So it's like, people do it all the time. It's like a leap almost. Yeah. And it's so scary.
No.
No?
No, like, I literally used to have panic attacks when I was like 8. Like, because all my friends were like picking out like what their future kid's name was gonna be, and, you know, oh, they're gonna marry this person, and this is my wedding dress, and I was like, I have no.
Carol was plan. Very much not like that, and I admired that so much.
And you know, like, and that could have gone both ways, but we just decided to have it, and so for me, the struggle was more mental because I was like, okay, I think I'm doing this, and you know, and you
were really back and forth with it for a while.
And
I was like, don't do it. Carol rolled her eyes every time someone said that.
And
She was
it's
like,
just
okay.
like when you don't have a kid, it's just so cliche. Like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. But then when you have a kid, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Like I'm not even mad. Like sometimes I'm like, I put him down and he wakes up every like 3 hours. I'm like, I put him down and like 15 minutes later he start crying. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like it's awful. But at the same time, I'm happy to go there and
Right.
just grab him and
Right.
just like, be with
It's a
him. I
weird,
miss him.
it's a weird dynamic.
It's a weird thing. And nowadays I feel like it's just a weird thing. But I feel like if I didn't met him, I would just totally say, oh, I'm good without kids.
Yeah.
But now that I know him and I know his little personality, and I'm like, I can't live without him.
Yeah.
Like, we'll just make it work.
Yeah.
And it's just like a weird thing.
I feel like
that
you
your
did
brain-
everything very unconventional, and I loved every second of it.
Aw, thank
Like
you.
I did, like she didn't find out the gender.
Yeah.
Like everything
because it wasn't a thing for
Yeah.
me. Like it's not. Oh my God, I'm having a kid. It's just
Yeah.
gonna be, the gender reveal. Like I think it's good both ways. Like if you are just so looking forward for that, whether because you always dream about it or because you tried for so long and you finally have it, like that's great. But that for me, for my personality, was like, oh cool, I'm having a baby and that's great. But I'm not all like about, oh, I'm gonna do the gender. So I feel like even nowadays I gotta think with myself. I'm like, it's about more of how people are perceiving me. Oh my God, is he dressed nice? That people will like care about like his clothes. In Brazil, people will like just like, oh, is he dressed nice? Or like, I'm just like, I don't care. Like, just put the boy in diapers. He'll be fine.
He could be naked.
Yeah. So it's like more about the perceive because I personally don't really care that much.
Well, now
long
that
as
you're
he's
a
happy.
working mom, so Carol was telling us earlier that she worked for this big company. They had they were bought out, right? And
No, they actually so they went IPO and then they
right.
and then
Okay.
I got laid off because as the layoff started, it was shocking. Like it was one of the worst experience of my life because got me.
it's a big ego hit.
Oh yeah, you were like, well, I'm the one being promoted and I'm seeing things happening and just out of nowhere this happened. So for me it was like what I'm gonna do right now because a lot of my personality and my worth came from work. So if you have your brain wired that way and you learn like your work ethics, you start picking like what did I did wrong?
Right.
Why did they pick me?
Right.
Yeah.
So that was really hard, but also I was already like with the mentality that I've been here for so long that my boss was great at the time because like she didn't know what was happening, but she always like made me like even from the beginning like look around. You always got to see your market value.
Yeah.
Even if you are comfortable where you are right now, keep your eyes open. Like don't be as
complacent.
loyal or
Yeah.
complacent to the place you are because at the end of the day, it's you and you, and you got to look what is best for you. And I learned that in the hard way because
Look how you're succeeding now, though.
I'm learning things.
Yeah, it was funny too when you said like, "Oh, if I have a kid, like that's gonna make me stagnant," but actually, it did the complete opposite
Yeah.
for you. It made you
Yeah,
evolve.
so what'd you do?
into-
Tell us.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you gotta.
Can people hire you?
Yeah, people hire me. Yeah, I'm a graphic designer, so you can call me. Yeah, so I am. I actually like, all right, what I'm gonna do right now, I started applying and like it's a very hard market right now. Like there's so many good people open for work because like the cuts and it's just hard. So I'm like, all right, so let me try this freelance thing and let me just open my own company and see how it goes. And one thing I noticed is that the connections you make through life or through your workplace. Jackie was talking about the place she works, like how many people she meets. So nobody, like I kept, like in the past, I was like, oh, I'm going to make it happen for myself. You can, but you will need people.
Yeah.
So being able to, like, the people who helped me to, like, now like are the people that I met like years ago. Like I feel my contracts that I have now, so nowadays I work as a freelancer designer and all the contracts I have is from people like I met at this workplace or someone that I made a connection.
It all comes together.
It all comes together and then here
Now
I am.
you're making mad money, but you're like frying your brain a little bit.
I am. I'm just so tired. I'm tired all the time and
It's gonna pay off.
Yeah, it'll pay off.
Yeah. So hire her, guys. If
Yes.
you need any graphic design, consulting, or advertising, marketing, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. She's
Yeah.
a busy gal though, so get in line.
Yeah. Book in advance.
Nowadays with the internet and social media, it's just really easy to look at someone and just think things were easier for them, or just, you know, things is just like this line that is like totally straight.
Yeah.
But just so you know, there's a lot of crying. There's a lot of like, this didn't work. And there's a lot of people supporting. Like, it's never like, you're never doing it alone. And you are always like capable to do things. And if it's not perfect, just keep going, because it one day is going to pay off, and it's going to pay off in a different way. It will make sense at the time.
Is there any advice you would give like 21-year-old Carol? Would you, what would, knowing what you know now, be like, what would you say to her?
I mean, I think just trust your gut and just don't be afraid to be who you are. I feel like for a long time I was just so afraid to put myself out there, and nowadays I still gotta like push myself a little bit. It's okay to be you and not be the smartest or the coolest or just the most outspoken. Just be you. That will actually helps you to differentiate you, whatever you are. And put yourself out there, make connections. I feel like that's the biggest learning.
Kick that door down.
Yeah. Make it happen for you.
I love that. I love that.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining.
Yes, thank you so much, Carol. That was so fun. I love hearing stories like that.
Me too.
I'm so happy to be here. I hope you guys just keep growing with the podcast.
Thank you. We will post her Instagram here and even her business, I guess, if you guys wanted to hire her.
Yeah,
guys.
We'll
check her out.
Put your contact information.
Find me on LinkedIn.
Yeah. And not only is she great at what she does, but you know you're working with a genuine, good-hearted human.
Exactly.
And that's the most you can ask for in business. So there's
That's
that.
very true.
Yeah. And also our food, I guess our coffee food place of the day, is Burrow Bean Coffee Spots. Yeah. So definitely check them out as well. I'm sure they're also good-hearted people. So they're not here. Right
they cook great food. So.
Yes.
Yeah, we enjoyed our bagels.
Yes. Well,
all right, guys.
Enjoy the rest of your Monday.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.